Could he be released into some sort of care facility? Is there the possibility of not guilty, reason of insanity? I mean, what does that mean when we hear Alan Jackson start off by saying this is a very complex issue?
Well, Alan Jackson is doing his job in terms of trying to humanize his client in the public court or the court of public opinion. There's two major issues on the table that this is going to factor into. The initial one is going to be trying to persuade the district attorney's office to not put the death penalty on the table. And in terms of, how we have somebody who has a history of mental health issues and drug issues and so forth, that is definitely something that's sympathetic and mitigating. And the second prong down the line will be, could this support a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, which requires someone to prove that the defendant did not know the difference between right and wrong. Now, if Reiner was under some sort of hallucinations or psychotic episode or combination of drugs thereof, that could potentially lead to that sort of defense. Because think about it, what type of child would want to kill their parents? Clearly, that brings the question of, did this person know the difference between right and wrong during the commission of the crime?
Once the case was presented to DA Nathan Hochman, the announcement came out yesterday. Were you a bit surprised at the special circumstances allegation? Because there are reports, of course, unnamed reports from people who were not authorized to speak on behalf of the family, that there'd been arguments and yelling and screaming and that sort of thing. So I was just a bit surprised the special circumstances allegation making him potentially eligible for the death penalty. What about you? Was that a surprise to you, or was it simply because there were two deaths involved here?
Right. So the key word on that is eligible. And I think Hochman, he ran on the platform that he was going to be tough on crime, that there's sort of a new sheriff in town. And when you have a situation of the deaths of two very well-known people, innocent people, elderly people, he has to follow through on that. Now, that doesn't mean that there is going to be the death penalty imposed here in the end. But at the same time, he wants to show the public that this will be taken very seriously. And now the Reiner is eligible for it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen.
And so our next step is arraignment, and at that point there will be a plea, but January 7th really isn't that far away when we talk about a continuance. Do you foresee a speedy trial here, or is this something that could stretch off into the future?
This is definitely going to stretch out into the future. As Alan Jackson said in the press conference a moment ago, this case needs to be handled very carefully, cautiously, and patiently. And a lot of it is going to be focusing on the timeline, when things happened, how they happened, how calculated was this, or how not calculated was this. What drugs or alcohol or mental health or state condition was Nick Reiner in when this allegedly happened? All that needs to be worked up by forensic experts, medical records, psych records, and so forth. So we're not going to be seeing a trial in this case anytime soon, if ever.
And also, I'd be curious, the complex nature, when we talk about complexities, when it was Romy Reiner, reportedly, who found her father's body, didn't even know her mother had passed when she ran out of the house, and she found out later from paramedics. How does the family dynamic begin to weigh in on something like this?
That's a great question. This is extremely complicated on everyone's level, because here you have siblings who at the same time have lost both their parents in an unexpected, tragic way, while also their own brother is seemingly culpable for it and sitting in jail and maybe even facing the death penalty. So how do you, as a family member, who do you support? How do you support them? Obviously, they're upset at their sibling for this, for the loss of their parents for causing this. But at the same time, is it something where they want to lose another family member in the court process as well? Or do they want to come to his support and try to help him with some sort of insanity defense down the line? And family members do play a role in this. The district attorney's office will give an ear to the family to see what they want out of the situation. So what they want will factor into Nick Reiner's result in the end of this.
Lou Shapiro, our legal expert for this case, thank you so much for joining us. We are now going to go outside of the courtroom. Madison Weil, our reporter, was in the room when all of this happened. She is joining us now on the phone. And Madison, we're seeing images of Alan Jackson on the screen and the judge. But what was your take when you were in there?
Hey, Philip. Yeah, well, we were inside the courtroom as this all unfolded, and I can tell you it was all over very quickly. We did see Nick Reiner. He was behind glass. The judge did ask us not to show his face on camera. His defense team, including his attorney, Alan Jackson, was also physically in front of him, blocking press from seeing him as much as possible. We did catch a glimpse of him, though. He appeared calm and quiet, mostly just looking forward at the glass, only speaking when spoken to. And as you guys just heard, Reiner waived his right to a speedy arraignment. They delayed that arraignment until January 7th. So again, it was all over very quickly. We then ran outside. That's what you guys all just saw. Alan Jackson speaking to the media, providing just a brief statement on camera, talking about handling this case carefully and with respect for the family. So that was our perspective from here in court today. Philip.
Madison, when we learned yesterday that proceedings were put off because Reiner had not been medically cleared, there is conjecture as to what that means. Did you, because you were able to see while we didn't have video, did you see any physical injuries that would have hindered him from appearing physically in court, or was there any statement as to what was needed for that medical clearance?
You know, they didn't comment on that today here in court. Again, we caught that quick glimpse of Reiner. He didn't appear injured from what we could see. And again, his demeanor was calm and quiet. We did not see what maybe they were alluding to yesterday with that delay in that medical clearance. But his demeanor overall, I would say, again, just calm and only spoken to briefly. Only speaking briefly when spoken to by the judge or by his own attorney. Okay.
Madison Weil in the courtroom this morning for the initial attempt at arraignment for Nick Reiner. Again, thank you very much. We learned today, again, a very brief court appearance. The arraignment has been now moved to January 7th. That's when Nick Reiner is expected to enter a plea. We will continue this coverage, have the latest on Eyewitness News at 11 a.m. Again, Nick Reiner charged with killing his parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner, but he has waived his right to a speedy arraignment. His arraignment is now set for January 7th.
This has been breaking news on Eyewitness News. Get alerted first to breaking news happening around you. Download the ABC7 Eyewitness News app.